Welcome back. I'm Certified Flight Instructor. Today, we are looking past the basic maneuvers and digging into the invisible architecture of the sky. We are taking your professional skills to the next level by mastering the National Airspace System. When you drive a car, you know exactly where you are and what the rules are because there are physical signs painted on the asphalt. The sky has no physical road signs. As a professional pilot, you have to decode the two-dimensional symbols on a sectional chart and build a rigorous three-dimensional mental model of the airspace around you. At its most basic, airspace is exactly what it sounds like, a specific portion of the atmosphere above a designated land area. We divide this massive volume of sky into two absolute categories. First is regulatory, which includes classes A through E, along with restricted and prohibited areas. Second is non-regulatory, covering military operations areas, warning areas, alert areas, and controlled firing areas. Within those two broad categories, the system is further broken down into four functional types: controlled, uncontrolled, special use, and other airspace. This entire system is dictated by operational logic. The categories and types scale based on two factors: the complexity of the operations occurring there and the density of the traffic. The goal is to maximize both safety and aircraft flow efficiency. Because these zones stack on top of each other, there is a golden rule you must commit to memory. When overlapping airspace designations apply to the exact same space, the rules associated with the most restrictive airspace apply. Competence in this system depends on prediction. You must look at a coordinate and instantly identify the specific equipment, communication, and operational mandates required to survive that slice of sky. Let's break it down. The entire controlled airspace system relies on air traffic control. Their primary purpose is to organize and expedite the flow of traffic and prevent collisions. For VFR flights, ATC radar facilities provide critical assistance. Services include traffic advisories, safety alerts, limited vectoring, and sequencing. The absolute peak of this hierarchy is Class A airspace. It begins generally at flight level 180, or 18,000 feet MSL, and extends up to flight level 600. The entry requirements here are absolute. VFR flight is strictly prohibited. To enter Class A, you must be on an IFR flight plan, hold an instrument rating, and operate an aircraft equipped with a Mode C transponder for automatic altitude reporting. You also set your altimeter to the standard 29.92 inches of mercury, ensuring everyone is flying on the exact same pressure baseline. You won't find Class A depicted anywhere on your sectional charts. It exists everywhere above that 18,000-foot floor. At altitudes where aircraft approach Mach 1, visual separation is physically impossible. Class A acts as the ultimate high-speed highway. Absolute controller authority and instrument separation is the only mechanism fast enough to prevent high-altitude collisions. Moving closer to the ground, we reach the busiest terminal environments, Class B airspace. This zone is explicitly designed to protect high-volume IFR traffic. Class B generally extends from the surface up to 10,000 feet MSL, but it isn't a simple cylinder. The airspace heavily resembles an upside-down wedding cake, tailored to local traffic flows. To operate inside, maintain two-way radio communication with ATC, and hear the controller state "Cleared to enter Bravo airspace" with your tail number. A Mode C transponder is required within 30 nautical miles. Pilots must hold at least a private pilot certificate. Inside the airspace and below 10,000 feet, your speed is capped at 250 knots. Beneath the Class B shelf, that limit drops to 200 knots. Class B features unique VFR weather minimums, 3 statute miles of visibility, and simply clear of clouds. ATC provides complete separation, so as long as you stay out of clouds, you are protected. There are 3 distinct ways to transit through or around this airspace. VFR transition routes allow you to cross the airspace with ATC clearance. VFR corridors act like a visible hole punched through the airspace, requiring no clearance. Finally, VFR flyways help you navigate the immediate vicinity using ground landmarks without entering Class B. Class B operates as a highly controlled fortress. Its complex geometry and strict entry rules exist because the heavy volumes of descending jet traffic leaves zero margin for visual error. Stepping down the complexity ladder, we find Class C airspace. This typically extends from the surface to 4,000 feet AGL. It usually consists of a 5 nautical mile inner surface core and a 10 nautical mile outer shelf. To enter Class C and the smaller Class D, you must establish two-way radio communications. There is a rigid rule here. ATC must read back your specific tail number. If a controller simply says, "Aircraft calling, stand by," communications have not been established. You must remain outside the boundary. Class C demands a Mode C transponder. Speed is limited to 200 knots within 4 nautical miles and below 2,500 feet AGL. The weather minimums jump to 3 statute miles visibility and specific cloud clearances, 1,000 feet above, 500 feet below, and 2,000 feet horizontally. There is also an outer area extending 20 nautical miles out. Participation here is voluntary, but highly recommended for traffic advisories. Next is Class D airspace, built around airports with an operational control tower. It generally extends from the surface to 2,500 feet AGL. The critical distinction in Class D is ATC service. The tower sequences the traffic pattern, but provides no separation services for VFR aircraft. They offer traffic advisories and safety alerts, but visual separation is your responsibility. If you lose radio communications heading into Class D, remain outside or above the airspace until you determine the direction and flow of traffic. Then, join the pattern and maintain visual contact with the tower to receive light gun signals. In both Class C and Class D, the tower organizes the sequence, but the pilot's rigorous radio discipline and constant visual scanning are the primary mechanisms keeping metal from bending. This sectional chart shows the connective tissue of the system. Class E is controlled airspace that fills all the gaps not occupied by A, B, C, or D. Class E takes 7 different configurations. It can drop to the surface around part-time towers, act as an extension, or serve as a transition area starting at 700 or 1,200 feet AGL. It forms the Victor Airways, the federal highway system from 1,200 feet AGL up to 17,999 feet MSL. It also encompasses domestic en route areas, offshore zones, and everything above flight level 600. Everything else is Class G. This is uncontrolled airspace. It extends from the surface up to the overlying controlled airspace, maxing out at 14,500 feet MSL, or 1,500 feet AGL if the terrain is particularly high. Operating in Class G is completely distinct. It requires no specific aircraft equipment, only VFR flight is allowed, and ATC has no authority or responsibility to control air traffic here. You can request VFR traffic advisories, but they are provided strictly on a workload permitting basis. Classes E and G make up the vast majority of the sky. Being able to identify their shaded magenta and blue boundaries on a 2D chart is the only way to know if you are operating under ATC safety net or entirely on your own. The visual flight rules laid out in the FARs are always minimums. They exist to guarantee forward visibility, so you have the time to physically see and avoid other aircraft. This is why the 10,000-foot MSL threshold is critical. Below 10,000 feet, standard Class E weather minimums are 3 miles visibility, but above 10,000 feet, minimums jump to 5 statute miles, requiring 1,000 feet clear above and below and a full mile horizontally from clouds. Above 10,000 feet, aircraft are authorized to fly up to Mach 1. The visibility requirements increase to account for drastically reduced human reaction times. If weather drops below standard minimums, pilots can request special VFR clearance. This allows operations down to 1 statute mile visibility and clear of clouds, but it requires explicit ATC clearance. For night operations, both the pilot and aircraft must be instrument rated and equipped. Mode C transponder mandates follow similar logic. To ensure ATC can paint an accurate 3D picture, Mode C is required at or above 10,000 feet MSL, above Class C and inside the Class B veil. Airspeeds are capped to keep the system manageable. Above 10,000 MSL, the limit is Mach 1. Below 10,000 MSL, it drops to 250 knots. When flying beneath a Class B shelf or within 4 miles of a Class C or D airport, you are restricted to 200 knots. These regulations represent specific safety margins. They are mathematically scaled to the physical speed limits and closure rates of every other aircraft sharing your altitude. Beyond the standard classifications, we have special use airspace. These are specific zones designed to confine hazardous flight activities or to protect national welfare on the ground. Prohibited areas are marked on the chart with blue comb lines. Established for high-level security, you can never enter these zones under any circumstances. Restricted areas share the same blue comb lines, but they contain invisible physical hazards like artillery firing or guided missiles. You cannot penetrate this airspace without securing explicit prior permission from the controlling agency. Warning areas also use blue comb lines. These extend 3 nautical miles off the coast. Their purpose is to warn non-participating pilots of potential danger over domestic or international waters. Because of their location, you do not need permission to enter, but extreme caution is required. Military operations areas, or MOAs, are marked with magenta comb lines. They separate IFR traffic from military training, where aircraft routinely exceed 250 knots at lower altitudes. Prior to entering, you should check the active status with a flight service station and contact the controlling agency. You aren't asking for permission, you are asking for traffic advisories. Alert areas use the same magenta lines to inform pilots of high-volume student training or parachute jumping. In an alert area, the sole responsibility for collision avoidance falls entirely on the transiting pilot. There are also controlled firing areas, which contain hazardous activities, but suspend operations immediately when an aircraft approaches. Because they halt for traffic, they aren't even depicted on your chart. Additionally, national security areas request voluntary avoidance from pilots to protect ground facilities, though they can be temporarily restricted via NOTAM. Special use airspace represents regions where the standard rules of civilian right-of-way no longer apply. Penetrating these boundaries without situational awareness invites interception, regulatory violation, or severe physical hazard. Finally, the FAA uses temporary flight restrictions, or TFRs, to protect persons and property during specific events. Found via NOTAM, these protect everything from disaster relief operations to presidential movements, typically creating restricted zones 3 nautical miles wide and up to 2,000 feet above the surface. You will also see gray lines indicating military training routes, which allow military aircraft to exceed 250 knots below 10,000 feet. A 4-digit identifier means the route is at or below 1,500 feet AGL, while a 3-digit identifier means it features segments above 1,500 feet. You may also encounter terminal radar service areas, marked by solid gray or black lines, offering voluntary radar separation, as well as parachute jump areas published in the Airport/Facility Directory. At the borders, we have the Air Defense Identification Zone, marked by a solid magenta line. Crossing into U.S. airspace here requires an IFR or Defense VFR flight plan, a Mode C transponder, and 2-way radio communication. The NAS functions as a high-stakes, data-driven infrastructure. The sectional chart provides the raw data, but your personal discipline and predictive visualization translate those symbols into professional execution. I'm Tai-Hen Lee. Keep studying the charts, trust your instruments, and fly safe.